Welcome to Conversations with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Reddan, creator of the SRTT Self-Care Club. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. Today, I'm joined by Natalie Truesdale, a body image coach who supports women to build their self-worth, self-confidence, and self-esteem beyond their appearance. Welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've been excited.
Me too. So I've spoken in your group and I'm in your group and I love your message. I love how you communicate with people in your space, that you really are about that kind of confidence and building women up to feel great as they are, which is completely alongside my message. Just working in a kind of different niche,
Yeah.
depending on where you're listening from.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming and chatting with me. Would you like to introduce yourself? Let people know who you are in your own words.
I sure will. And my words change every time. And sometimes I act like I don't know who I am. But yes, I'm Natalie. So yeah, I'm a body image coach. So yeah, my focus is basically just to kind of shift our opinions of ourselves, basically, because quite a lot of time in society these days, as women particularly, but I know it's a struggle for men as well. We think that we have to look a certain way or show up a certain way in order to achieve things like happiness and love and things. And it's not true. And I'm here to kind of like make sure that people know that and kind of build their worth outside of their appearance, because it's, from my experience, completely exhausting and it doesn't lead to happiness. It leads to complete misery. So yes, I want to make sure women get back to themselves, basically.
I love it. So I would think it'd be really important to start at the beginning, because we use all these words when we're in an industry and think everybody knows what we mean. So what do you mean when you say body image? What is body image?
Yes, and it's a good question, because I'll always say, like, people often think I'm either a personal trainer or I'm a dietitian. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. And it's basically, I mean, to a certain degree, it's not even about what we physically look like. So a body image is they generally split it into like 4 sections. So it's like how we perceive ourselves. So when we look in the mirror, what we see, and we all know that changes depending on where this is, our mind is on the day. It's about how we feel about ourselves. So how happy, how satisfied we are with our bodies, how we think about ourselves and our bodies, and then how we behave as a result. So the things that we might do, the habits and the things that we might show up doing day to day, that's a result of how we see, feel and think about ourselves. It's kind of the 4 really. So I kind of come at all 4, which can be a little bit overwhelming at times because there's so much involved in body image, and it's not just about our body image, it's about our self-image. You know, you'll know as well, it's like it's all so entangled. Yeah, there's a lot of things to it. So I do try and break it down into simple things and just focusing on little bits at a time.
Yeah, because what I get from your space, or what I feel you communicate, it very much is about which again is alongside my message, loving yourself as you are. So it's about being able to look in the mirror wherever you are on the scale of what your body looks like, and be happy with how it is, or at least be able to be nice to yourself about where it is. And that doesn't mean that you may not want to be doing something to change the way you look or work with your appearance, but you're doing it from a place of love and self-acceptance, rather than wanting to, or like feeling that you need to look a different way. And it's about walking alongside your clients as they're navigating through that. So it's not like it's a negative or like a false positive space in that, oh, we all feel great about ourselves all of the time, because that's not real.
No.
It feels like there really is that opportunity to kind of come in and say, I am struggling with this, and this is where I know I want to be. This is where I'm at in my thoughts or my feelings about my body. And your community kind of comes together and supports people, and you put stuff in that really helps people connect the dots with what they're doing. And I just think it's so important that space exists, because we are bombarded constantly with this ideal of what our body should look like and what we should be doing to look a certain way. So I'm really curious to know what brought you to I'm going to be a body image coach. I need to do this.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do with myself.
But you do it so beautifully. I think you
Oh,
really
bless
do
you.
support your community really well.
Yeah, and I'm glad that that's what you get from the group, because sometimes it's easy for me to kind of put things out, but sometimes how other people interpret it, I'm always a little bit mindful of, because people are, like you said, they're in different places of the understanding about what's going on for them. So sometimes it can be hard. But yeah, for me, like social media, not to show my age too much, but social media like wasn't around when I was 15. There was no Facebook when I was 15. So lucky for me, I didn't have that trauma at that point. And I imagine for a lot of younger people now, it's everywhere. It's rife, isn't it? You know, back in my day, you just went to a phone box if you wanted to make a phone call. There wasn't even mobile phones. So I was quite blessed in that way, you know.
I'm along that day as well.
Yeah,
if not further back.
Yeah, that's an absolute blessing. And you know what I always say, for me, I don't know whether, bit of like a chicken and the egg, I don't know whether I struggled with self-image and self-worth, and then I started to be quite toxic, focusing on my body, or I got quite conscious of my body and ruined my self-worth as a result of that. For me, I can't kind of go back and pin it down to like the one thing that happened. But just for me, slowly over time, I became quite conscious of how I looked. So it was always very much that I was always quite active, always quite fit. I've always been in generally quite a smaller body. So, you know, I was seen as, oh, Natalie's like really fit. She really looks after herself. And it became a little bit of an identity for me. And that was great at first, you know, and I loved the compliments about it, but it became really toxic for me. So I ended up thinking that that was all I had. Like, you know, I wouldn't think I was very intelligent, so I wouldn't I didn't go to uni till 25, because I was like, well, I'm just going to fail because I'm just stupid, and all I've got is these size 8 pants. Do you know what I mean? So it became really important for me to have to not change. So for a lot of people, it's about wanting to change. For me, it was like, I can't change, because if my body changes, so does my worth. Like, no one's gonna want to go out with me. You know, I'm boring outside of that. And so, because everyone kind of like, that's what people noticed about me the most, or what I heard the most, to be honest, not necessarily what they focused on, what I heard. So in order to do that, as I obviously got older, you know, we all know, we go out of our late teens, we hit our 20s, and it becomes a lot harder to enjoy eating, which I enjoy doing, and stay the same size. Like, our bodies change over time. And it became this, what can only be classed as like a 10-15 year battle with, you know, disordered eating, over exercising, not looking after myself, slowly getting more and more miserable. I ended up with like body dysmorphia. So I would look in the mirror and my weight wouldn't change, but what I saw was just, oh, it's not attractive, that's horrible. And it wasn't just about weight, it was my nose, it was how short I am, it was the texture of my skin of my legs, you know, and it was anything I could find. And, you know, it was a bit like a secret problem, because on the outside, I was just someone who would eat when I went out. Like, I'd eat everything because I adore eating. But behind closed doors, I'm like weighing soft cheese onto a cracker and, you know, going, oh, I went out for lunch today, so I can't really have tea, because I'm going to be over that magic 1,200 calorie number that somebody made up at some point, and we all follow it. And just hammering the gym. But everyone would say to me, oh, do you know what? I wish I was more like you. You're always going to gym. You always look so good. So it's just reinforcing it for me.
Yeah, it just perpetuates the cycle, doesn't it? Because it's that reinforcement of my worth's I'm only worth something if I look a certain way. People praise me for the behaviours that I'm doing, even though on some level you must have been aware that it wasn't healthy for you.
Absolutely.
And then you can't step out of it, or it feels, I guess, you obviously can, because you have, and you do, but it gets to that point where you feel, if that's your identity.
Absolutely. And the walls have started to crumble. Like, I'd got to find, like you said, Sarah, where I was really mindful that, do you know what, I'm ruining relationships, I'm getting miserable, you know, I'm like crying at the side of my bed thinking, like, what is the matter with me? Why can't I just be happy? You know, there's something up with me. Like, this is ridiculous. Because on one half, I would know better, so to speak, but it's the obsession and the compulsion that you can't help the thinking, isn't it? And for me, the walls started to crumble when other people started to be like, Natalie, you're like, you know, when did you become so stressed? You know, why are you so unhappy? And I've been thinking, oh my God, my facade isn't working anymore. Like, so even the external bit then was falling apart a little bit. And I always say to people, I remember going to a wedding do a good few years ago. It might have been 7 years ago, something like that, maybe less. And someone I hadn't seen for ages was chatting to me, and they're saying, oh God, you know, you're always like really funny, and saying loads of stuff, but nothing about my appearance. And I was like, oh right, okay, so that's good. And they went, you know, but when did you become like so like angry? And I'm like, I'm not angry. And I thought to myself, I went back the next day and I was like, do you know what? I really am. I'm resentful, I'm bitter, I'm angry, I'm irritable. Like my entire personality had changed from someone who used to be quite easygoing. And I mean, I've always thought I'm pretty funny. But like,
and you are. I do enjoy your humor.
Thank you. I'm having that compliment.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I sat there and I just thought, something's got to change. And I don't know what that is, but I know it's me. Like before that, it was about everybody else. So it's what people think. It's, you know, it's that boyfriend I had and how he talks to me, and it's everybody else's fault. It's diet culture's fault, everybody else's fault. And although, don't get me wrong, things like diet culture blatantly influences, I had to let go of that blame, because I find the blame really toxic. So I very rarely even say the word diet culture that much, because I just find we get stuck there. We get stuck in it's their fault. And if they could just go away, if that would just stop, then I can change. And I had to go, well, no, because if I change, then they don't affect me as much. And my big thing is, if we all of us, if we all start to do the ripple effect of changing, then eventually things like diet culture, they don't have a hold anymore. So in generations to come, it won't be as toxic, because, you know, hopefully people like us are around who empower women to feel better in themselves. So when I was sat and COVID happened, and I'd worked in addiction services, I studied psychology, which really helped me to understand that I'm not insane. That's actually how brains work, and we can change that. I started working in addiction. So I did that for 10 years. Then I worked in the prison services for a couple of years, kind of helping people before they come out to like change their mindset. And I couldn't do that during COVID, because obviously you can't go in them. So I was sat there and I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Like at the time I was part-time, and I'm like, what do I want to do really? Like for me, full time, because I enjoyed the work, but it wasn't around certain topics that empowered me. So I sat there, and, you know, you do the coaching courses, and I did all those, and they'd be like, right, if you're going to like niche down, as they like to call it, I don't like that word, but I'll use it because people know what it means. I was like, right, okay, so what would I want to talk about? And self-care is a big one for me, and confidence. And people are like, right, well, just a normal confidence, like all confidence. I was like, do you know what? Like body confidence, like body image, because I think it's not talked about enough in the sense of what it actually is. Like we talk about body confidence, and that gets distorted now by social media into diets, and it's used in all their messaging, that we haven't got back to the fact that, do you know what? It's down to us. Like it's down to me, and it's down to how I think. It's down to who I want to be around, you know, where I'm willing to show up for myself, basically. And I love, obviously, a big bit of that is our self-care. So yes, I was just like, well, do you know what? I'm just going to do that. And that was a really long answer to your question.
No, that's perfect.
I do that. I have a lot of long answers.
As do I. Why go from point A to B if you can go the scenic route and meander and take everyone on the journey with you?
Everybody likes the countryside view. Absolutely.
But for me, it gives me so much more insight into like who you are and why you choose to do it. And I think, you know, that's why you resonate with me, because that passion comes across, and sort of that the ideals that you have and the values that you have come along, and for me it's aligned, which is why you're here talking with me today, because I want more people to hear what you have to say, because it is so important. And I'm kind of on that journey. So I've my weight's been up and down. I've occupied bodies of all sizes, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Absolutely, I can have moments where I put something on and I'm like, oh, I don't like how it looks like that.
We all do that though.
Absolutely. But I'm pretty good at talking myself up and focusing on the things about myself that I enjoy and what my body can do, and all of the things that you talk about. And I'm working with at the moment sort of this like body neutrality, being in this space of even if, because I've chronic health condition, sometimes my body does not like to cooperate with me and doesn't want to do what I want it to do. If I can find some loving kindness towards myself and just be okay with where I am in the moment, I feel like that makes such a difference to my experience of life, my mental health, my ability to do things. It's really shifted the relationship that I can have with myself in that way. And I think that for me ties into that body confidence and body image. It's that level of that. When you manage a chronic health condition, what you can do at times is very different, and it can be easy to get angry with your body for
like
not
it's working against you.
and that's, I think, a perfectly normal response to have, but there's something in, like, for me, that didn't help me. That didn't help me be healthier. It didn't help me have a more positive experience. And so I love that sort of kind of how it all ties in. And I know, like, you talk a lot about the sort of the self-care as well. So sort of where do you feel like self-care comes in with that kind of building the body, the positive body image, or, you know, being in a place of neutrality, even about, like, I exist and that's okay.
And I love that you brought body neutrality in, because I'm really a very much body neutral, body acceptance. And for me, like, I'll always say, I don't really want you to think about your body. So sometimes people can come into my program sometimes, or they come into the group and we're like, well, we don't talk about like bodies that much. I'm like, well, good. Let's talk about other things, because do you know what? There's other things to bloody talk about. And for me, that's very much it. So the neutrality is about, like you said, it's like look in the mirror, and, you know, I always say we can't choose our first thought, but we can choose our second. So our first thought might be, God, I feel disgusting today, or God, I've put on weight, I don't like what I see. And that's it. We all have the thoughts. I have the thoughts. We do it. That's
it's that internalized fat phobia, isn't it? It is that conditioning from society that's gone, this is how you should look at yourself.
No.
But
it's how we interpret it. Like, I said to my partner the other day, do you know what? I've put on weight. And he was like, oh no, we're not going here again. Oh, we've been together like nearly 11 years. Like, we're not. I'm like, no, that's just a fact. I'm telling you a fact. I have put on weight, like my pants are tight. I didn't make a judgment on it. I didn't criticize myself. I didn't say, so that means I am. It was just a fact. So really, I can either start to move more, because I have not been moving much, or I need to buy bigger pants. They're my two options. But there was no judgment there. There's not, it's just, you know what, I've put on a bit of weight. And is that because I've not been moving as much? Right, well then I'll move. Or it might be that, do you know what, my lifestyle is exactly the same. So my body's just obviously doing something. I'm either about to have a period, you know, and my body's just doing something, or maybe I'm retaining water, or, you know, maybe I'm just getting older and it's hard, you know, our body's metabolism slows down, and I'm just, you know, we slowly generally gain weight. Not everybody does. But yeah, so it's really good that you say that. And do you know what, for me, the self-care really ties into that, because if we're not like neutral, and we don't see outside of our bodies, we do what I used to do, which is think that self-care is only physical. So like for me, I'd be always like, oh, I'm really good with self-care. And people would say to me, oh, you really look after yourself. But all I did was watch what I eat. And on a podcast, so you didn't see my little air quotes then, but I did some, which just meant not eating enough, you know, exercising. But really I was doing far too much exercise, which was putting strain on my knees, and it wasn't good for me. And I was knackered. To the point where I'd like go to the gym and then like sit on the settee watching films the rest of the day, because I was too tired to do anything else, which is not living life, is it?
It's not very balanced.
No, exactly. So there was no balance. And for me, self-care, particularly around body image, it's getting that balance that we need to tap into the emotional self-care and the spiritual self-care and the mental self-care, because we don't do that. We don't do that. We just go, oh, I'm going to look after myself. I'm going to run a bubble bath, or I'm going to go for a walk. And they're all great things, but particularly, you know, it's all our mindset, isn't it? And a lot of it is our thinking. So going for a walk will clear the mind, yes. And going for a bubble bath might distract us for a small period of time and make us feel good. But we've got to get like little self-care habits as a habit every day that keep us in a place of feeling good. Like we often go to self-care as a like firefighting reaction, don't we? Like, oh, I've started to feel bad about myself. I'm really tired. And I always say to people, like, that's not the purpose of it. Of course, there'll be times where, you know, we are a bit more tired than normal, or bad things happen, and that's life, and we can't do anything about that. And therefore, maybe we need a little bit more self-care, or to prioritize a certain type of self-care a little bit more. But we really need to be working on doing little daily things for ourselves which make us feel good, and not like, you know, make us feel bloody amazing. Like you said, it's not about looking in the mirror and thinking, damn, I'm hot, I look amazing all the time.
I mean, to be fair, I do that to myself. No matter how I'm looking, I will genuinely believe in aggressively complimenting not only yourself but other people that you meet, because there's, even on, like, for me, even on the days that I feel like about something, I will find something that like, do you know what I mean? Like, even if it's just
absolutely.
like, I chose the best color glitter today.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels, I don't know, like, for me, this has been a journey, and it's been a place that I've got to. Like you said, it's noticing that thinking and being able to kind of like, you know,
but like you
yourself,
said, you're doing
up.
it, and you're doing it mindfully. You know, you're aware of it, and you're making an effort to do it. But what we can sometimes think is that it will automatically always think like that. Like, when I get to this point of self-love and loving my body, I'll never have another negative thought. And it's like, well, that, I don't know who's telling you that, but they are setting you up for failure, because that is perfectionism, and that it's not real life, is it?
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And it's something we talk about in the space, in my space anyway, every week. It's like, our brain likes to say negative things. We're recording on a Thursday today, so today is Thankful Thursday, and we look at gratitude practice, and we find something, anything, any little thing about this day, this moment, that you can be thankful for. And like you say, there's always going to be something. Life is not this kind of, oh, lovely, everything's great moment. It's great when those moments are great, but that's when it's easy to remember the feeling great about yourself and the self-care stuff. It is when life is hard, and I historically have done this as well. You just kind of forget to do things. So it's finding those moments. And like I say, you can't control your first thought, but the second thought, the third thought, the fifth thought, you know, being able to be like, and that's okay.
Exactly. That, you know, they become choices, and we think they're not choices. I'll always say to people, bear with me when I say it's a choice, because it doesn't feel like a choice. And I think just getting to that point where it feels like a choice is a massive, like, that's a massive way to come, isn't it? Just to realize that, oh, actually, I am a bit more in control than I thought I was. For me to get from, you know, to that milestone took me a hell of a long time, and then to move past the point of denial that I actually have to change myself was another milestone, and it takes ages. And I kind of just want to show women like little tools and techniques, and like give them support, so it doesn't take 15 years, because a lot of us, when we get to this point, it's already been 5, 15, sometimes 50 years that we felt this way, and we don't want it to take double the time again to change it.
No. And it's I'm reflecting on, like, my experience of social media in this last couple of weeks, which I think is really interesting because of the guests that I've been recording with. It's brought up some stuff for me. So for some reason, I've had an influx of diet people and personal trainers friend me on Facebook. I recently posted a full-length picture of myself, and I often wonder, as a person who occupies a bigger body, when I get this influx, is there a correlation? Is it just coincidence? You know, is it yellow car thinking, or is it just coincidence? And so it's so interesting to me, as someone who is not the stereotypical image of beauty, when these people pop up. It's like, I don't talk about diets, I don't talk about weight loss, I never criticize myself on social media. I quite often post pictures where I look less than perfect, because it is the real me, and I'm amused by the faces that I pull, or the things that I do, and I just think it must be so hard when these people just pop up on your Facebook, pop up in your timeline, pop up into your space, and be like, hey, do you really want to feel good about how you look right now?
Yeah.
It's like, and I find it challenging at times, and I'm very aware I get a little defensive when these, because of my profession, people want to connect professionally. That is fine. I'm completely okay with that. But when people want to come and say to me, and I have had this before, oh, I do this diet plan, you might find it helpful. It's like, there is nothing about my profile.
Why would I find it helpful?
There is nothing about my profile other than the way that I look to you that suggests I would even be interested in that.
Yeah, but it happens all the time, doesn't it? It happens all the time. And I think, whether it's about our bodies or about different aspects of health, if we put, like you said, them assumptions, and it is this assumption, like I have a big conversation with people sometimes about, when I first set up, I was really mindful that being in a smaller body, a lot of people who are still, who still believe that only people in larger bodies can have body image issues because it's about weight, and therefore people in smaller bodies, like, what are you talking about? What's your problem? I'm like, I need to like bring this divide, because it's not about like some of the healthiest people I know are in larger bodies than some other people, but a lot of the people I know in smaller bodies like are massively unhealthy. Like I could have been in what would be like a picture perfect body, where that person who's messaged you might be going saying, oh God, she must work out. And it's like, yeah, but do you know what? My mental health's on its arse. And, I'm not healthy. I'm not physically or mentally or emotionally healthy. And I think we do have this stereotype that, if we look a certain way, then we obviously need more help than others. And I think, but sometimes it leads to women like fighting against each other as well. And I don't like that, where I've been in groups before, like Facebook groups, and I'll always go, and I'll only ever connect with someone if we get into a conversation, and I know they're obviously struggling with body image because we're having a conversation about them struggling with body image. Like I would never like, add friend based on how anybody looks, because I know that anyone could be struggling.
Yeah, because it is body image, the way you feel about your body is not necessarily reflected externally.
No,
exactly. It's a completely different thing. Like you said at the beginning, you can fit the archetypal, I can't say that word, you can fit the stereotype of what what we as a Western society believe the perfect aesthetic is, which changes depending on I'm going to go into a rant, which changes depending on what marketing company is marketing a thing at the time. And it's not, or my experience, you'll correct me, this is your specialist area, it's not necessarily about the way a person looks. How they feel doesn't often have any correlation to the way in which their body looks. It's messaging, it's confidence, it's internalized experience of advertising, the way that they've been brought up, people commenting on the way that their body looks, feeling like people have commented on the way their body looks. It's that comparing themselves against somebody else. It's all of this other stuff. It isn't about the body. So when these people creep up on your profile, if you're not feeling it, really, I get really angry about it. And I've had a couple of rants about this in different spaces for different things that have been quite triggered me this week, because it's like, you can't look at a picture of me and have any idea about
decide what my problems are.
What's going on for me. And I, whatever, you provide a service, that's great, but I am really not your client. And depending on how you approach me, you're possibly not going to like the response. It's like, and it's so damaging, because it perpetuates this idea that you have to look a certain way, and if you don't, you must want to go on a diet. It's like, actually, no, I don't.
Yeah,
no, I don't want to go on a diet.
No, why would you not want to be happier and healthier? It's like, because I already am those things. Thank you very much.
And do you know what? I am on a path of being healthier, because I recognize to help my health stuff, my next focus, my thing that I'm focused on now is movement. But I have experts that I speak with on a weekly basis that support me along that. Leah came onto one of the very early podcasts. She's a yoga instructor. I'm in her yoga membership because she's that supports me. I like the way she teaches. I like the message that she has. I have a support system that supports me, and I do exercise, and I do I am more mindful. I'm in Liz's, who Liz came on our podcast, my podcast, her community. She talks about food, but food as nourishment, and she's a dietitian, nutritionalist. So
Yeah.
her, she knows what she's talking about, but she doesn't talk about dieting, and that's all aligned for me, and it's beautiful, it's perfect, and that's why I'm in your space, and it's really that, yes, we're all out there and we're trying to do our work and whatever, but
Yeah.
the point that I'm getting at is, if you're not in that space of feeling supported, that must be so difficult to have that bombardment of,
Yeah, exactly.
you don't look the way I think you should look. You need this thing to feel better about who you are. It's
And
like, I'm just existing.
Imagine we get up in the morning. So imagine, like, I put on somewhere, I'll get up in the morning, but do you know what? I'm feeling quite good that day. And then I open my inbox and someone's messaging me to say that they can help me lose weight. So excuse me, I was feeling really good about myself. And who are you to have ruined that? And I always say to people, like, look, I don't care if you want to lose weight or you don't want to lose weight. Like that, I'm not here. I'm not God. I'm not here to, I don't believe in God myself, but I don't have this higher power where I decide whether you should lose weight or not. I just want to make sure, if you do want to lose weight or put on weight, because I work with women who want to put on weight, why you want to and how you're going to do it. So for me, I'll always say, look, like, we all have different like body set weights, and there's a nutritionist who comes in to my membership every month and answers loads of questions. And the other week, it was such an interesting chat. She came in and we were talking about like body set weights, if that's the right word to use. When we all have one, so we can't all be this size, we can't all be this weight, because we're all built differently, we've all got different genes. And quite often, if we diet, we're pushing past that. We're going, because if our body, like, people say, oh, I've plateaued, oh, well, in that case, restrict again. No, I've plateaued because my body doesn't want to lose any more weight, thank you. And for me, if we start the self-care and we start looking after ourselves, we do movement. It's not about hammering and counting calories. It's about getting fresh air, going for a walk, doing Zumba dancing, doing yoga, whatever it is that you enjoy, because enjoying it is key for self-care. And be more mindful what we eat. I adore pizza, I love chocolate, and I love sweets, but I'm not going to eat it for every meal. I mean, I eat at least one of them every day.
Because you know that putting nutrients into your body helps your body, helps you feel better. Absolutely. So it is that, we've just had years and years, haven't we, of this kind of idea of diet,
good and bad food,
and all of this artificial stuff, and being whatever. And I'm not going to go into a rant. I'm not. I'll save it for another day. I'll probably rant in my group about it. But it is like this set weight thing that, like, we're hearing more about now. We've known for a long time, haven't we? But it's not been something that is really being shared out there. Because you just get told, what is it? Calories, restrict your calories, exercise more, everything will be fine. Exactly. And it's like, actually, your body is supposed to be a certain thing, a certain way. And even if it isn't, that's okay as well. Like, your health is your business. Your health is your business. And your health and your body shape don't necessarily mean what we've been conditioned to think these things need to be.
I'll always say to people that, because so many people will say, oh, I want to lose weight because I want to be healthier. And I'm like, right, let's just pull that apart a little bit. Let's just pull that apart. Like, what does health even mean to you? Because sometimes people say, and they go, right, I want to get fitter. I said, right, okay, so you want to get fitter, not lose weight, because they're two very different things. And if you start going to the gym and you start to move more and you improve your CV fitness, you may, as a side effect, lose weight. But that's not the goal. The goal is the fitness. Losing weight is a byproduct. So I'm like, if your body is higher or lower than what it functions at its best, then when you start to look after yourself, but that's mentally, like getting enough sleep, drinking water, having a balanced diet, having fun with your friends, getting fresh air, doing all the things that actually make us feel happy, you will lose or gain weight if you're supposed to. And if you don't, it's because you're already the weight that your body wants to be at.
Yeah, but you're benefiting from the fact that you're nourishing yourself with good food, good company, good thoughts, good feelings, wearing the clothes that you want to wear, celebrating who you are as a person, and showing up and enjoying life. And it's such a shift, isn't it? It's so different. It's that's what it's about, really. That's what it's about.
And it's why diets don't work, because diets are about creating this like false life for however long the diet does, where we don't go out socially because, you know, there's not right food on the menu.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do this, we don't drink alcohol, we don't do that. You know, we hit the gym 7 days a week, and we're doing things that we're not consistent with. They're not making us happy. So the second that diet finishes, we're like, oh my God, thank God I'm down to this weight because I can't cope with that diet anymore. And then all the things that we might have done, which really we want to keep hold of. So maybe we started eating more veggies. Yeah. And maybe we started exercising and we didn't exercise before. So there were little things that were positive that we started to do. We don't do them anymore because we've achieved our goal of getting to a size 10, say. So therefore we stopped doing any of the good things we were doing, which maybe made us feel better and made us fitter and made us feel healthier. Yeah. And then we put all the weight back on. Yeah. So I'm like, if you just do the things that you enjoy to do and you just look after yourself and focus, like my big thing is like focus on how you want to feel, not how you want to look. And if you focus on how you want to feel, you will make decisions and you will create habits that make you feel good, that make you feel healthy, that make you feel more confident. And as a result of that, if your body changes, your body changes, but that's got to be a byproduct and not the end result that you're chasing.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're at end of time, possibly run over. So no, maybe it feels okay.
Me and you talking. So
yeah, we could be here for hours. Like it feels like this is a good place to kind of bring it to a close for now. Maybe you'll come on another time. We can explore some more of these points further because I know we both get quite passionate about it. And this is a subject that can, you know, my relationship to it is ever changing. Yeah. So I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you want to leave people with today?
Do you know what I would just say to clear around body image and around self-care, because it ties in, is to, like I just said then, like focus on how you want to feel, not how you want to look, and make that the deciding factor on how you behave and the habits that you pick up, and sit down and do it regularly. So like self-care changes all the time, doesn't it? And often we just stick to the same self-care over and over again, and it gets to a point where it doesn't serve us anymore, and we've got to mix it up a bit. So sit down regularly, like every day, like sometimes every day I'll say to myself, okay, how do I want to feel today? And what is one thing I can do today that'll help me to feel that way? Not all day, maybe just for 5 minutes, but what can I do? So maybe ask yourself every day, how do I want to feel?
I love it. I put a reel up today actually that was about how often do you ask yourself, what do I need? And that's my thing, like checking in, like what do I need today? So it might be that I need a little bit more water, or maybe I need to eat the apples that have been in the fridge that I keep avoiding, or maybe I need to have a conversation with a friend, or maybe I need to read a book or go outside, or like what do I actually need? What do I need to do on my tick list of like the busy work? What do I need? So it's that, how do I want to feel? What do I need? And it's that checking in with yourself, isn't it? And really getting to understand you and how to nourish you, I think, is at the core really of everything that we talk about trying to do.
Absolutely. If you do five minutes once a day of something that makes you feel good, it seems so insignificant, but it really, really isn't.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming and
my absolute pleasure.
Speaking with me. Thank you. So thank you to those that have listened. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. To find out more about me, my guests, you can find us on most social media platforms as SRTT Self-Care. Facebook's where I spend most of my time, and I'd love to connect with you. So I'll be back next Wednesday with a new guest. Until then, stay curious and be kind to yourself.